Hello, I am Beth, and I am a marriage coach, certified hypnotist, and tonight's live is going to be one you don't want to miss. I have an amazing guest on tonight, Rose Carlin, and she is amazing. We have this great topic, so we're going to talk about how to overcome life's challenges and obstacles by fueling forward with confidence. So, who hasn't been challenged by some sort of obstacle in their life, whether it be marriage struggles, whether it be a health crisis, whether it be financial loss, or whether it be some sort of tragedy or death? So, together, the two of us are going to be talking about this. I'm not sure if she's here yet, so I'm just going to wait a few minutes until she gets here. Hello to everyone that's here. I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's an in-demand speaker. She's been part of the TED Talks in that series. She's a best-selling author of a book called Adaptable. She's the founder and CEO of Women Empower X. She uses her infectious energy, her courageous spirit to really empower women so that they can live their best lives, overcome these obstacles, and just unleash their true power so they can pursue all their dreams. And she's an amazing story. I'm sure she'll share a part of it tonight, but she's had a miraculous story here where I think she was 17 and she was in a coma, given 1% chance to live, and she's come through that. So I think she uses that as her fuel to really motivate others. Let's see, I'm just going to check here. See if she can get in. Let me know if in the chat if you're having trouble getting in, Alexa. But yeah, so together we're going to talk about how to overcome these challenges in your life and flip them so you can see them as gifts. Sorry, here she is. Alexa, I am so excited to bring you in. When you get here in a minute, we'll start this lovely chat about how to overcome this. Hello, Alexa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Amazing. So I just gave a quick intro. You are a powerhouse when it comes to talking about overcoming obstacles and really shifting our perspective on these obstacles, these life challenges, and making sure that they become gifts where we can see them for what they really are, these things that we go through in life that make us stronger. So is there anything else you'd like to add to your bio there, which is so long?
Uh, yeah, thanks for that. I started my first business when I was 17, and my near-death experience came when I was 21 years old. But since I can remember, I've been on a mission to make a difference in at least one person's life a day. I truly believe in you as the individual. And I found at a young age, like a love for turning idea into reality. And so I saw that entrepreneurship can very well be my vehicle to make that difference. And when I was 21 and I had that crazy near-death experience that left me with an ongoing chronic illness that definitely changed my life and changed my direction in how I achieved that mission, and led me to really sharing my story, using my voice to make an impact, and just helping others perceive life in a more positive way.
Yeah, that's the best way. Because if you don't do that, what happens to you? And I'm sure you've seen women that have been in similar situations and probably seen them change their lives because they've met you. So tell me about what are some of the obstacles, like the most common obstacles that you see women come to you with, like the hardships that they're going through.
Yeah, the biggest obstacle is confidence. I speak all over the country on confidence. It's like my most popular topic. It's my most popular and booked keynote because it's so needed. And confidence is imperative to success. It is necessary. It's something that's going to help you rise above the noise. It's something that's going to help you achieve what you want. Yet so many people lack it, and so many people let fear and doubt and low self-esteem get in the way. And a lot of times we discount our ability to gain confidence. And that's kind of the biggest obstacle that I see, where people are like, oh, well, I'm not a confident person. So, that's just who I am. I'm not confident. But it's not that you're born with confidence. Most people don't understand that confidence is a skill. And just like any skill, it can be learned. And so I really focus on helping empower women with confidence to find it within themselves through different tools and techniques, because just like any skill, again, it can be learned. And once you do learn it, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, like when we say confidence, is there a connection to self-love?
That is a very, very good question. And you're probably one of the few that have asked that before. So I'm glad that you asked it. So self-love and confidence, two separate things, completely separate things. So my best example that I can give here is that so say if you're like, hey, Alexa, you need to go and play soccer right now in front of a stadium of 1,000, and we're counting on you to make sure that we win. I have never really played soccer before, and am not good at the sport at all. And on the field, you put me on the field, I am not going to be confident whatsoever. But I'm still going to love myself on the field. So the difference there is that self-love can be, that's something that's deeper rooted that you need to work on internally, because of course you have to love yourself first before you are able to really receive that love you deserve. You have to receive it from yourself. But confidence, very different, because confidence is situational. So when I was first started public speaking, I was not confident at all. I was so shy. I would turn bright red. I just was so nervous. I mean, growing up, I was very nervous. I was so shy where in middle school, I wouldn't even raise my hand in class. But through repetition, through education, through working on a craft, I became way more confident when I'm public speaking. And so it's very much situational.
Yeah. I'd still love to know, what are some of the big obstacles that you see women overcome? Can you tell me a little bit about their stories?
Yeah. So specific stories.
You can tell, or you can just kind of give me a rundown of some of like the major obstacles that you see women overcome with confidence.
Okay, so well, one, turning their idea that they've had forever and taking action on that idea. So an obstacle could be, right, not having confidence that they can do it. And so empowering them with the support and the fuel and the education to actually take action. So, for example, when we were hosting in-person events, I've had countless people come up to me, and they attended events year after year, and they said, because of WEX, because of this event, because of this community, I finally took action on my dreams and incorporated my business, and they started their business. And there's another one where this is a really heartfelt story. I'm not going to share completely because it's not my story to share. But this woman, she went through a very, very tragic experience, extremely tragic, and she never shared it before. And she saw me speak at this local event. I was down in South Florida, and maybe it was like 20 people in the audience. And I shared my story, and me being vulnerable opens up and gives others permission to be vulnerable as well. And she then went home, and she told me about, maybe it was like 3 or 4 months later, how everything changed for her. So actually, I think she told me at that event. She told me at that event after she went to a WEX conference. Flip the two events around. So so she wasn't able to get up off the couch. She wasn't able to move away from her past. She wasn't able to move forward, and what she went through was serious, very serious. And her friend was like, I'm going to this conference. It's here at the convention center. Like, just come with me. I have an extra ticket. And she's like, I do not want to. It's on a Saturday. It's like, so I'm not positive, it's just one of those events that she didn't feel like going. And her friend was like, go. Her fiance was like, go. So she just went. And that event was WEX. And she went to all these different breakouts, saw these different speakers, and one speaker at that event really impacted her to the point where she went home and she started writing her story. Now, 3 or 4 months later, whenever this other event was that I was speaking at that had only maybe 20 or 30 people in the audience, she came up to me and she said that because of that event, she started writing her book, and now she's self-publishing it. And she changed her whole life just from a shift in perspective from that one event. And so a lot of times when you talk about like what's the obstacles that women are overcoming, everyone's going through so many internal obstacles. And I only know what people share with me, but it's always seemed to be very much where we are standing in our own way. the challenges that we're going through, the physical obstacles like a near-death experience or the tragedy she went through or the pandemic or financial issues, all of those are very real. And I don't think all of those are your fault either. Like sometimes people say, your life is your fault.
No.
I mean, right. I can't say that. I mean, I have an autoimmune disease. I don't think it's my fault.
No.
And I don't like that advice, right? I don't like that. I don't think you need that push in that way in order to change your life. If anything, what I say and why I wrote my book Adaptable is that there's a lot of things you can't control. Not everything is your fault, but you are strong enough to adapt to all the things that you can't control in order to move forward. And that's like the biggest thing. The obstacle is within, saying that yes, my past is part of me, but it does not define me, and finding the support and people who truly value who you are as a person to move forward.
I love that. The obstacle is within you. Like there could be a hurricane happening around you, like not a literal hurricane, but your life could feel like
Yeah.
it's in shambles. But if you have that like inner confidence and compile it maybe with a little self-love in there too and everything else that you need, those good vibes, you can withstand that, right? So I love how that obstacle is internal. It's like a mindset too in there that you can really have the strength to overcome it and change the story. So how do we start to flip that story? I'm a puddle, to say I'm a puddle. I have had my own hardships. I had a brain bleed, a random brain bleed, sorry. And I was in a huge depression, anxiety for completely months. I was a puddle. Like I had to talk back to myself all day long. You're safe. You're okay. Your brain's not going to bleed again. Because I was just so scared. I was rippled with fear. And like, I just want to share this with anyone who might be going through this. How do you create that story? Like, how do you get out of those really dark places and those heavy, heavy emotions? Where does that work start so that you can even have the confidence to start building that confidence to share your story?
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that so vulnerably and openly. And the thing is, it's hard, right? It's not easy. It really isn't. And I don't think it's like a one and done fix or one thing I can say here that's like, all right, my story's changed. That's it. It's hard because you have to continuously work on it. And I think that's where so many people give up on themselves too soon to get to a point where it becomes a little bit easier each day. But how I started to reframe the story is to view one, things happen for you, not to you, right? And believing that this had to happen for a reason, even if I've never find out what that reason is. Two, surrendering to the flow. The word surrender is like a mantra that I carry around in my back pocket every single day. And anytime things get tough or I'm living in the past or I'm living in the obstacle and living in the negativity, because I am human, I just say surrender. And I trust. You have to trust.
It's so
You
true.
really do.
If you don't, that was
Mm-hmm.
one thing I used a lot was I trust that I will be taken care of. I trust that everything that's happening to me is for my highest good. And when you can just trust and realize that you're co-creating with whatever it is you believe in, your universe, the God, light, whatever it is, you don't feel so alone and so isolated, because it's really scary when we're going through these obstacles and these challenges. You can feel so lost, but when you know that there's someone with you in regards to like a higher energy, possibly. I don't know if that's something that you believe in or you talk about when you're talking about surrender. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I do believe in higher power, energy, universe, God, whatever your own belief, something that's bigger than ourself, that lives within ourself. Um, and so everything that, I mean, I started to really get into spirituality in college, even before my near-death experience. And then what I experienced in the coma, in the ICU, definitely ingrained that there is this energy and this I'll say universe that has our back. And I when I say surrender, it's again, it's not thinking that I need to control everything, and that's really hard for type A personalities, but it makes life so much more fun. And so it's like you can fight against what is and resist, or you can focus on what you can do and surrender to what can be. And that trust has always led me to the craziest adventures, the best achievements, like the most fun times in my life. I mean, even to the point of surrendering to things when I was like studying abroad in London and things were just happening, but I was at this like different state of mind because I was kind of like living this unrealistic reality. But every time I just like went with the flow, amazing things happen. Yet when we get older, it's like we have more on the line. We have more that it's hard to risk. That we forget about that. And it's kind of like when your energy level is up here, you kind of are closer to being in flow, right? And so how do we get our energy up there and how do we get our mindset up there? And part of it is being like, is listening to yourself, listening to your intuition and, working on different strategies and tools to make sure that you're always at that elevated state.
Absolutely. I think intuition's a big piece of this. And so many of us don't even know how to listen to our intuition because society has told us do things this way, do things that way. Or all of a sudden we will have an intuitive hit, but we're like, you know what, I should be doing this. And we should ourselves, almost guilt ourselves out of it. But that intuition will, I love that, will guide you to those fun experiences, those adventures, exactly what you need in life. So I encourage anyone that's listening definitely to listen to the little pings. And they don't come in messages being like, hey, Alexa, I want you to go talk to this person. It's all of a sudden just like feeling that can come over you, or like,
Mhm.
maybe I should call that person. No, I'm too busy. I'm not going to. Call the person, take the time, because that was a little intuitive hit for sure. All right. So,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, absolutely. So, with that, what are we going to override our feelings in all this? Like, yes, I'm going to surrender. Yes, I'm going to trust. I'm going to feel that. I'm going to try and get myself into a high vibe. How do I process those emotions from the hardship so that I can really unleash that confidence?
That's a good question. So there's strategies and tools that you can put in place, like meditation. For me, it was journaling. But the first thing I would say that really helped me get out of my thoughts and more in tune with the present. I think that's a really important part in order to start to process without your past challenges taking over your mind. So when I was first, okay, so I had my near death experience a few months before I was graduating college. And then I graduated college, moved to New York City, got my dream job working there. But then I started getting sick again. It was a different type of illness. And that's when I was diagnosed with my autoimmune. And that's when all the fear started to come, post-traumatic stress. And like, it was debilitating. I mean, it ended up being debilitating for 8 years. But during this time, it was so hard for me to do anything because I was just so much in the past and so much in fear of like my heart's beating a little bit fast. Oh my gosh, should I go to the emergency room? Because that's
Mhm.
what was one of the signs before I went into a coma and had a 1% chance. So when I remember like when you live in New York City, I don't live there anymore, but when you do live in New York City, I was traveling by subway or walking through the busy streets, and a lot of times, right, you put like headphones in your ears and or you read a book, like you try to pass time in your own world when you're commuting. Yet I couldn't do any of those things because I'd be sitting on the subway. If I put music in my ears, any song, happy or sad, would make me cry because something would trigger the past. You know how music has a way to trigger those feelings. If I put no music on, I wouldn't even be present at all, notice anything that was happening to me because I was just so living in my past or in the fear. And if I tried to read, I would just be reading this word, one sentence over and over again because again, I was just so in my head. So I had to do something. And I remember this one subway ride. I was riding and I was like, I just have to get out of my head. Like, I can't be in this space anymore. And I was like, I started hearing someone's music from their headphones. And I was like, let me try to hear different sounds. So I was trying to listen to what music they were playing. Then I heard a kid's feet shuffling. Then I heard someone sneezing. Then I heard someone turning the page of their book. Then I heard the intercom saying what stop we're on. Then I heard the wheels on the tracks. And I started hearing all these different sounds. And there's a lot of them. And all of a sudden, I hear the intercom and I get to my subway stop. I walk off the subway. And then I realized for the last 20 minutes, I wasn't thinking about the past or fear of the future. I was completely immersed in the present moment because you have to be in order to actually hear the sounds
Mhm.
individually. So I actually have that as one of the exercises in my book, Adaptable, because I give the challenge, like next time you go to a busy restaurant, try to hear all the sounds, try to feel. Oh, I think we lost you for a second.
I know I lost you too, so it might be poor
Do you
internet
still
at
see me?
I can kind of. Yeah, you're like a pixelated. But I love
Oh,
this
it's all fresh.
story. Can you hear me? You keep going. Okay, I'm gonna wait. I don't know. Yeah, you're back. Um,
Okay. All right, cool.
I love this story. You know what? I teach the women I work with a walking meditation. And when you do a walking meditation, there's a few things you can
Hmm.
do. And one of them is very much sensory, where you're just walking and you're listening, whether it's the leaves rustling. And it's such a like a lightness comes over your body because you don't feel the heaviness on your chest or down below your ribs. It's an incredible thing when you can just listen, even to your footsteps on the concrete or the pebbles of the
Hmm.
path. And another one too is just taking in the colors, like just seeing the red, or just if it's fall here in Canada, if it's fall, seeing the leaves or the blue sky or a yellow building, and just using your senses to take yourself out of your mind, because our mind is our worst enemy in there. It's our ego. It's trying to protect you because you've been through so many horrible things. It wants you to stay on high alert just to keep you safe. But sometimes it's a bit much and you don't need that, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing strategy that you're using there. So tell me, I'm trying to think what else. Like what's next? So all of a sudden you're starting to get out of your mind. You're getting more present. You're experiencing life finally again. You're trusting the universe. What else do we need to do?
Take action. Take action and find a community of support. Support's really big. Really, really big. And then action is really helpful in finding purpose. A lot of times people lose their purpose in tragedy. They lose their self in tragedy. And so anytime I was taking action towards my goals and dreams and following what felt good, following what made me feel excited, that's a clue to what your passion is or what your purpose may be. And so I think a lot of answers, if not all answers, come through action. But so often we wait until we know all the answers to take that action. And so I really I've said my dreams have saved my life. They were the only thing that really pushed me to not give up, was chasing after my dreams and my community, speaking to them and sharing vulnerably about it. And so sharing my story, um, again, being present, finding techniques, tools, books, podcasts, live streams that really helped me, and journaling. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. And the key is that there's not one right way. I think a lot of times, when I was trying to heal myself and work through this, one person would say, okay, this is what you have to do. And I would do it and I didn't feel any better. And then I'm like, am I doing something wrong? But I always say, like, here's everything that worked for me. Take what resonates, leave the rest, because we're all different and we need different things at different times.
Absolutely. And I was on that journey too, where I was experimenting with a ton of stuff and so many things didn't work. And I remember a moment when I was talking to my psychologist being like, there's got to be more. I can't keep talking back to my fear. I was constantly all day being, you're safe, you're okay, you're exactly right. Like I was mantras all day long and it wasn't embedding. And then I went on a journey to figure out more stuff. And journaling was super powerful for me. Meditation's been even more so because I can really I have a hypnosis background now because of that. Like it set me on a journey to really get into subconscious mind because that's where we hold all these fears, like in our amygdala, we actually imprint some of these emotions from traumatic experiences. So if we can get rid of those along with all these other tools, it's just phenomenal how you can unleash that true you. And I think that's part of it because, like you said, when we go through these tragedies, we lose a piece of our identity. And for me, it was physical. I lost my ability to walk, and I was like, who am I? I can't take care of my kids right now. I've gained that back. But at that time, I was like, I don't even know who I am. I can't work. I can't take care of my kids. I can't run. I was a marathon runner. And it's just I had to kind of find myself. And in that process, what I've found is I like myself more now. I like myself more, and I feel like my life is actually not, it was flipped upside down, but now it's right side up through overcoming struggles.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, no, you definitely have found strength, your strength within. And see, I believe that your story will help other people. I think every person, especially women, they need to use their authentic voice to make a difference in their own life because it feels so amazing when you find the courage to be vulnerable. No longer is that vulnerability have power over you because you're hiding it. You now have real control over who you are. And then your story also has the power to impact others.
Yeah, and do you have any advice when you start having to share? It's terrifying to share. I had shame for some reason. I felt shame that I had done something to myself to make my brain bleed, or I just felt shame, and I don't even know why I felt it. But then when I started to share, I didn't want to share because I didn't want people to feel bad for me. I didn't want people to feel sorry for me, and I didn't want to shock them because when you say the word brain bleed, people are like, and it took me a long time
Mhm.
to be able to share. So any tips on how to share your story with confidence, how to start that process because it can be so emotional as well.
Yeah, so the first step I would say is to share with people that if you're nervous to share with strangers, the first step would be to share with someone that you trust that maybe doesn't know the full story. Maybe they know the story, but they don't know your story and how you felt and what you're still going through. I know a lot of times people would ask me how I'm doing, and after 8 months, a year, they don't want to hear it anymore. What I thought they didn't want to hear it anymore. So it's just like, I'm fine. But really, I was thinking that I'm so alone, but it was my fault. And that was my fault because I was judging someone else before I could give them the opportunity to actually know what was going on in my life. So share with someone that you trust. The second thing is to even just on your own phone is to share with yourself. Like record a video and talk. Just share openly. And probably if you are being really vulnerable, especially for the first time, you're going to cry. I have so many videos of me crying, and it's a good thing. It's like a good cry. So do that, and you're going to start to feel more comfortable just speaking it out loud. And then I have this formula that I teach in the sense of when you like kind of really work through it internally to the point where it's like, yes, I want to share my story to grow my brand or my business or achieve my dreams and really get into the point where it's like I want to use my story to impact others. I call it your X factor story. And it's something I teach in my speaking course. And it's basically the formula is finding or sharing your personal story with a personal solution of what you discovered. So say if you share your story of what happened, then you share your solution, which may be meditation, for example, and how that then transformed your life into who you are today. So that's that transformation piece. And by you sharing that story, which is your X factor story, right? The X factor is what makes you unique and different, then that has the ability for other people to hear and be like, wow, I want that transformation. So when I share my story, not everyone's been through a near-death experience, not everyone's been through a coma or an autoimmune, but you can resonate because of my story then talks about the journey I went on and the struggles and the obstacles, and we all have been through low confidence. We've all been through dealing with fear. We've all, struggled with some type of thing that's affected us, big or small. So then when I show what helped me and the transformation piece, then that helps you build your brand because now people are starting to view you as that thought leader that you can help them as well.
I love that formula, and it can be so simple. You can probably condense that into like a 5 minute spiel, 2 minute spiel, or you can make it into a whole hour if you're going to do a big talk like you did.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely. Yeah. We teach it where you could then that from that formula, we teach you how to make it into an elevator pitch, into like a short form video on social media, and then into even like a 60-minute keynote.
That's incredible. Oh, I love what you do. Like so many takeaways here. I took some notes as we were going, like those obstacles within, fear happens for a reason, surrender to the flow, trust, let go of the trying to control things and just be. And through that process, your story will inspire others and you'll heal from a lot of those traumas and obstacles that you had to endure. So, Alexa, how can anyone that's watching the replay on this or still with us, how can they find you and learn about all these incredible things you have to offer?
Yeah. So I'm Alexa Rose Carlin across social media. I hang out mostly on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And you can learn more about me. You can find my book Adaptable at bookstores across, I guess, across the world online, definitely. So Barnes and Noble, Target, Amazon, Adaptable, and then the book and Woman in Power X and everything we're up to is linked all on alexacarlin.com.
Amazing. And any of your followers that are watching or watching the replay, I'm Beth Miller. I'm a marriage coach, a certified hypnotist, and I help women who are often struggling within their relationships get to this beautiful place where they can heal themselves and heal their relationship. So, Alexa, anything else you want to add before we go?
Uh, just keep on following what excites you. Don't give up on yourself. And when you are at a loss for hope, exchange hope with curiosity and be so curious to what may happen if you don't give up.
Oh, I got goosebumps. I think that's a fabulous way to end this. Alexa, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and thank you everyone who watched.
Thank you for having me.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.